Okay, beginning with the abstract. The aim of this study is to explain the definition of greenwashing and its causes, as well as to analyze several cases of greenwashing that has taken place in industry, in order to see how the different forms of greenwashing are manifested, and to identify precisely how greenwashing has caused harm to people and property in the consumer community. The UK case studies are used to identify consumer laws that can effectively regulate greenwashing. It also explores how to address the lack of scrutiny of greenwashing in individual industries. And then as an introduction, as consumers became more aware of the potential environmental impacts of the products they buy, all products labeled as eco-friendly, organic, or sustainable are more popular than ever. Green advertising has become an essential part of the company products advertising. Because of the growing consumer demand for environmentally friendly products. Therefore, addressing this trend in academic research has become a priority. Environmental claims are often used for non-inherent environmentally friendly products, including flights, plastic bottles, and non-hybrid cars. At the same time, many green advertisements present a confusing lack of sustainable information about the actual environmental attributes of their products. This phenomenon is known as greenwashing, which refers to behavior that mislead consumers about a company's environmental practice or the environmental benefits of a product or service. Scholars have distinguished the two types of deceptive claims that can deceive consumers. The first one is false claims. For example, this kind of claim is false based on objective evidence. The second one is vague claims. This kind of claim that is too broad or ill-defined, then creates an incorrect impression. Okay, then it's the body parts. According to Nielsen's global survey on corporate social responsibility, 55% of more than 300 online consumers from 60 countries are willing to pay more for goods and services from companies that commit to creating a positive social and environmental impact. The value of giving companies the green light is enormous. The Nielsen report also found that most consumers consider sustainable packaging when making purchasing decisions, and that a company's bottom line is positively impacted by making sustainability claims. The most famous case of greenwashing in the world is, for example, the Volkswagen clean diesel engine scandal. In this case, Volkswagen efficiency reduction devices was specially written engine maintenance unit firmware that placed on a dynamometer using the FTP detected steering wheel position, vehicle speed, engine run duration, and the air pressure. The test results all comply with the EPA required emission testing protocol, which allows the vehicle to comply with the emission regulation by properly activating all emissions control during the testing. The EPA NOV claimed that under normal driving conditions, the software suppressed the emission control, thereby improving the fuel economy, but would result in a higher NOx than allowed by the law. In order to make their cars appear more environmentally friendly than they actually are, they lead to several lawsuits against the Volkswagen in false advertising lawsuits and ordered a global recall over 11 million vehicles. Volkswagen false green claim about a clean diesel engine cost the company like more than $30 billion in multiple lawsuits and reduced the company's stock valuation by 30% a year after the data was released. The facts are based on the results of an investigation commissioned by Volkswagen and conducted by the U.S. Attorney Joint State. The statement set out how engineers developed the defeat devices. Results with the diesel model would not have passed the U.S. emission test and deliberately concealed their use. There is currently no specific anti-greenwashing legislation in the UK, with restriction in the Consumer Protection from Unfair Trading 2008. In particular, greenwashing breaches Regulation 5, which prohibits false and misleading commercial practice, where Regulation 6 prohibits commercial practice that conceal or obfuscate material information. Under both statutes, deceptive ecological claim constitutes an offense, Only when they lead or are likely to lead a consumer entering into a transaction. The car manufacturer was accused of programming of its diesel vehicle to artificially reduce their nitrogen oxide outputs in order to deceive emission tests, as well as being a clear violation of air pollution laws. This practice is said to have led purchasers to believe they were getting a cleaner car than they actually were, and the Volkswagen marketing was misleading advertising, with the Volkswagen stirring up the emotion of environmental conscious consumers through the misleading sales practice that appealed to consumer psyche in order to make a profit. This business strategy is very typical of greenwashing and demonstrates the pitfall of corporate environmental advocacy. It does not contribute to cost reduction or environmental impacts, but it will also ultimately lead to legislation and loss of revenue and public support. Then is a two case happened in the UK and against the advertising law, and which is shown in ASA. The first one is Ryanair. In February 2020, the UK regulator banned the Ryanair advertising on the ground of greenwashing. The advertising published on 15 September 2019 claimed that the lowest cost airline was the most carbon efficient in Europe. The Europe's lowest price, the lowest emissions airline. Flying is known as to be an extremely carbon intensive activities. As such, airlines are committed to promoting their environmental efforts. However, Ryanair's claim that it produces the lowest carbon emissions of all major European airlines is questionable. According to the Advertising Standard Authority, as known as ASA, the claim in the advertisements were misleading. They could not be legitimately supported by the UK advertising watchdog, which banned the Ryanair advertising campaign, claiming that the companies had the lowest carbon emission of all major European airlines. The claim of the lowest emission airline and the low CO2 emission are misleading. Advertisements A convened the regulation 3.1 misleading advertising and 3.7 substantiation, 11.1 and 11.7 environmental claims of the pollution control scheme regulation 20th edition. Advertisement B and C violates BCAP codes section 3.1, which is misleading advertising, and 3.9 substantiation, 9.2 and 9.8 environmental claims. Advertisements A and B and C must not be reappeared in their current form. ASA told the Ryanair Limited to ensure that when they make the environmental claims, they produce sufficient evidence to substantiate them and clarify the basis for these claims. The second case is Gusto. Gusto's advertising was banned by the UK regulator on the ground of greenwashing, and the three of the Gusto's blog are also banned. As for the first blog is EcoChill is a plastic-free insulated box, and the second blog is Meet the EcoChill. The new recyclable cardboard insulator is launched with absolutely no plastic, a 100% plastic-free recipe box insulator. And how do you recycle it? Each part is widely recycled. And the third blog is we have addressed our 50% plastic commitment with our newly developed EcoChill box. Is the first insulator of its kind in the UK, made from recycled paper and zero plastic. And best of all, it's 100% recyclable. But the ASA gave a response for the three blogs. And for these blogs, EcoChill is an insulated box that uses no plastic, absolutely no plastic, 100% plastic-free from the box insulator, and the first insulator of its kind in the UK, made from recycled paper and zero plastic. This is because they knew that the box contained ice pack made from ice pack and made from low-density polyethylene plastic. And every part of it has been widely recycled, and the best of all is 100% recyclable, because Gusto know that the only 50% to 20% of local authorities in the UK have facilities to recycle the LDPE plastic. And in this, the advertising breaches the CAPU's the 20th edition. As for the 3.1 misleading advertising and 3.1 the evidence, and 11.3 environmental claims. And the ASA told Gusto to ensure that future marketing communications do not state that their products and packaging are plastic-free, widely recycled, or 100% recyclable if they contain components that do not meet these criteria. The advertisements must not reappear in this form complained of. And the ASA, the UK's advertising regulator, has a duty to use consumer law to protect the consumers. Legal rights who are entitled to their own legal remedies. The regulator's obligation is to use consumer law to protect the legitimate interest of consumers, both in terms of misleading provision and environmental provisions against the corporate greenwashing. The ASA has several enforcement power available to it if it determines that a company has made a greenwashing claim, including requiring the withdrawal of infringing advertisements and publishing its decision online, thereby cause a negative publicity and reputational damage to the company in question. Taking into account the Consumer Protection Act of 2008, publicity and reputational damage in cases of persistent breaches of the CAP code, the ASA can refer businesses to other regulatory bodies, such as trading standards, which have the power to impose civil sanctions, among other enforcement tools from the sanctioned ASA website. As the popularity and demand for sustainable goods and services grow, the accuracy and reliability of companies' green claim are receiving increasing attention. The UK Competition and Market Authority, which is known as CMA, has launched an investigation accordingly to ensure that consciousness customers are protected. The CMA is the UK competitions regulator and is responsible for promoting effective competition in the interest of consumers. The CMA is also responsible for enforcing consumer protection legislation. The Green Code provides examples of misleading claims, which may appear to be very restrictive. For example, a beauty company claimed that a shower gel is free from microbeads is considered misleading because it suggests a benefit compared to other products, when in fact the microbeads are banned in the UK for use in rinse-off products and should not be present in any such products. For companies that have been using such claim to attract the consumer through organic content and paid media, this can cause some problems. And the CMA made the case in light of current consumer concerns. On 20 September 2021, the CMA published the Green for the Life guidelines based on existing consumer laws to help companies to ensure that their environmental claims are truly green while reducing the risk of misleading shoppers. And the guideline respond to the CMA review of online green claims, which revealed that 40% of claims could be misleading. The codes cover products advertising and marketing as well as packaging claims. While it applies to almost all the businesses, the CMA will prioritize areas of misleading claims that are of most concern to customers. And this includes fast-moving consumer goods, which is known as FMCG, textiles, fashion, travel, and transports. Therefore, the CMA enforcement power are broader than those than the agency like the ASA, providing a better protection for consumers' rights and providing a better consumer environment. And then as the solution, this report explains the definition and the causes of greenwashing and analyzes the cases of like Volkswagen and Ryanair and Gusto greenwashing, and to see how the different forms of greenwashing are manifested and how greenwashing can cause harm to consumers and their priorities. And it also explains how consumers' law can challenge the greenwashing problem and how the SA and CMA can help consumers to defend for their own rights.